One of the plants we do a lot with are palms and cycads, palms more so than cycads. But so let's look at what do you get when you buy those plants in. Again, you're getting a plant, especially on the fast-growing plants, that's going to be very, very root-bound. This is a windmill palm of the genus Trachycarpus. See, the roots are already out the bottom, so these are very fast-growing, so they're ready. So you got to really get in there and sort of back and forth. See how we just pull them back and forth to get them out. So that's really ready to go. And again, root-bound plants, not a problem. These you don't have any crossing roots here yet that are going to be a problem in terms of woodies. So you just pull those apart, get them in the ground. Very easy. If you're in an area and you're buying them in the fall or winter, we do not encourage you to plant palms or cycads in the fall. You need to get those in early spring. So what I would do is I would grow this in a larger pot. I would grow this in probably a 3-quart, or even if you have room, a gallon. Grow it as a house plant during the winter. So just take that plant and put it in a new pot. So we hold it up, put it right there. Shake that in so it gets in there all the way around that. And this will get the air out. And then you're ready to go. So then you grow that as a house plant for the winter, and it'll get double that size by spring. Then you're ready to go outside. So always on agaves, on palms, on cycads, do not recommend getting them in the ground in the wintertime. Unless you're in Miami, if you're down there where it's really warm, you're in Southern California, you can plant all winter long, not a problem. Now this is another palm, but this is a sabal. Sabals do something very interesting, is that if you cut their roots, those roots do not branch. On all other plants, almost all other plants, the roots actually will branch. Here, when you cut a sabal root, which you may have to do, those roots are going to die back to the trunk. So what will happen, let's just see if we can, I'm going to bang this a little bit. If you really, the best thing to do if you're trying to get a pot out is to get a hard plastic pot. There's nothing better than to beat these on, because you don't want to break the pots. Well, sometimes you have to. But if you do it on the hard plastic, it'll loosen it better than anything else you can use. Especially if you have clay pots. You don't want to be breaking those. Okay, so we got that. So what's going to happen here, any roots that were cut, now this is sort of air pruned. But as a general rule, your big roots on sabals do not like to branch. But this has got a good root system all the way through, so you're fine on this. So I would limit on sabals the amount of opening you do. I would instead just come in and tap. And then what you're doing is knocking some of the dirt off so that the roots that are there will be in contact. Whereas on some of the plants, you can just cut and cut. Really not recommended on sabals. You're not going to kill it. It's just going to have to start over again growing new roots from the trunk. So just a little tip that we recommend on sabal palms. And that's got a great root system ready to go in the ground. Let me see if I can get that back in the pot now. Okay. Here they go. All right. That is definitely, again, you can do that like you did the windmill palm. You can go ahead and put that in a larger pot, which is, if I had room for a larger pot, I would definitely be up potting this. The only reason we don't is, as I mentioned in our earlier video, is we want to keep that to a size where we can actually ship it to you at a reasonable cost. The larger that pot, the heavier they are, the shipping cost just goes up dramatically. Okay, and let's see if I can, somewhere I threw the tag away, but we'll find the tag and get that back on that. And then we have a cycad. This is something we've been doing a lot of work with, hardy cycads, some that will survive in our temperatures. And just like anything that's evergreens we talked about earlier, you want to leave the fronds on there. You don't want to be taking those off. So you don't want to cut cycads or palms back, not like you do perennials, because they are closer to being woody plants. Okay, so look at those roots. So again, what you're buying is a root system. You want a good, vigorous root system on anything you buy, and that is absolutely great, ready to go in the ground. So that's going to be looking for a good home come sometime soon, or spring, or whenever you are ready to start planting again. And let's get those pots back in there. The cycads are something that is really sort of hard to find unless it's one of the very common ones. Cycads are very interesting because cycads were invented before flowering plants were invented. So cycads, instead of having flowers and seed, actually have cones. So they're a prehistoric conifer, actually. So cycads are very difficult to pollinate because you have to have a male and a female. They got to be blooming together, and then you have to take the pollen and mix it up in water and dump it on the other. And then the seed set takes a year. So that's a long term. Then you have to store the seed in many cases for 4 to 6 months before they come up. So cycads are not something that most nurseries are going to offer because it's really a long-term, very expensive plant to produce, but they're a very long-term plant in the garden. If you get the right ones, put it in the right place. These were around when dinosaurs were here. So these are tough as can be in terms of plants, but really neat opportunity to sort of realize you're growing a plant that the dinosaurs probably used to munch on, or one of their ancestors anyway.